Hello fellow 3D enthusiast, my name is Ian, and today I wanted to share about resource libraries. Now, I kind of hate it when people open a video by saying, you need this, but that said, for 3D artists, you need a resource library. So let's talk about why you need one real quick. The short and long answer is that a resource library will enable you to create things so much faster. And the way this works is in your resource library, you just have resources that you can reuse for projects, and just having that resource will speed up your process. So I kind of touched on it already, but what is a resource library? Basically a folder full of things that you can reuse over and over again. So for example, I'm pretty sure everybody has this massive folder full of textures that are all unorganized and hard to find. Or is that just me? Anyways, that's a good example of a resource library. They're textures that you use over and over again in different projects, and not having to re-download textures every time I'm working on a new project saves me time. So the resource library concept kind of just extends this whole idea of having something that you reuse. So we can extend this idea to models. Say there's kind of generic models that I just want to smash together and create a new model out of. I can have those in my resource library, and I do. Nice. So how do you make a resource library? It's pretty simple, really. You just kind of gather things together that you think will probably be useful in the future. And you don't just have to gather things, you can actually create as well. But it's a lot faster if you just gather things that you've already created. For example, if you dig through some of your older blend files, it's quite possible you'll be able to find models that you can reuse in future projects. So I have this file full of mechs that I've just kind of gathered over the years of creating mechs, and they're all in this project. So if I need a mech for something, I just dig around in that file and pull out a mech. There was a long period of time where I was creating my own kitbash packs, so I could smash those together and reuse those models in completely different ways in different projects. And a way that I've actually been growing my resource library lately is just being subscribed to Ian Hubert's Patreon, which is a really good investment. He'll often give out like video textures and stuff that he's created himself with a fog machine and a black background, and you get these amazing smoke elements, and you can just throw them into a scene. But on the topic of smoke, something that you can easily do yourself is create a smoke simulation and then render that out to an image sequence and just reuse that. It's super easy to just take the image sequence and import it right into a different project. And that way you don't have to resimulate it, which also saves a huge amount of time. Nobody's stopping you. Something I've kind of experimented with in the past is saving tutorials for later. So if I see something that I know I would like to learn or I'd like to remember later, but don't quite need right now, I can save that tutorial to a playlist where I can find it again later. And that's been super helpful for me as well. So all of these elements kind of come together into what I call a resource library, and it's something that will save you massive amounts of time if you put it into action. A word on organization: it's a good idea to be organized because as you start using things from this resource library, you have blend files that depend on these resources, and if you change the name of the folders or anything like that that you have the resources stored in, then the Blender files kind of break and you have to redo the paths and the dependencies, and it's a big pain. So just be organized. Personally, I stink at organization, so I'm kind of talking to myself here, but yeah, that helps. Cool. Okay, to wrap this up, I wanted to mention one last way to build your resource library, and that is to download kitbash packs. There's a huge amount of things that are free online that you can just dump right into your resource library. It's a good idea to be familiar with what you have in there so you don't have to go digging for ages. But I wanted to offer you this completely free hydraulic kitbash elements pack. And to grab a copy of this, there's the link in the description. And with that, I'd say that pretty much wraps up the video. So I hope you have an excellent day, and cheers.